Just when we thought we were in the clear, another air quality alert is in effect for actually all of New York State. My very first snowball of the winter right here. I never thought this day would come. I was completely cynical at this point in the winter. Another fire broke out inside the same electric bike shop where that deadly blaze broke out earlier this week. Actually, just a few minutes after you and I chatted, we were just getting some extra video of FDNY members clearing out debris from the shop when we started to see some lithium-ion batteries start to get smoky, and then a fire started. And it really just goes to show how dangerous these batteries can really be. It's an absolutely electric scene here outside Mount Sinai. As you can see, I mean, there's so many people out here still protesting. There are cars driving by, honking their horns. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation as to what exactly happened here. How did this collapse happen and the severity of it? And the borough president was telling me that this building was actually built back in 1925. It is almost 100 years old.
It was a horrible, horrible way of living. But somehow we lived.
Mark Schoenwetter, his mother, and sister survived the Holocaust.
We were very fortunate that we could survive this.
While sitting in the Museum of Jewish Heritage in Manhattan, surrounded by photos of fellow Holocaust survivors, Schoenwetter recounts his own story. He grew up on a farm in Poland with his parents and younger sister. In 1939, the Nazis arrived.
It was something so different from our everyday life, just being on a farm. You saw this horse every day, you saw this cow every day, but you never saw a tank.
He says his father was the leader of the Jewish community there and was regularly taken in and questioned by the Gestapo.
But I don't know if he thought that this is the beginning of the end.
One night, Schoenwetter's father never came home. His mother decided to flee to a nearby ghetto. They lived there for 3 months with barely any food or water. Schoenwetter remembers piles of dead bodies lining the streets.
We saw all those things, but there was nothing you could do. And just live and hope that you will be alive.
His mother feared her children would die there, so they escaped into the Polish countryside where they lived for 3 years. In the summer, they would sleep in the forest and forage for food. In the winter, they would beg non-Jews to take them in. One farmer hid Schoenwetter and his family in a pigsty.
And then we hear the pigs coming in on top of us. We got scared, but we were quiet, and the pigs quieted down. And we lived like that probably 3 or 4 months through the winter.
After Poland was liberated, Schoenwetter stayed in the country until 1957 before immigrating to the United States. He now travels the country sharing his story of survival with students of all ages. Along with his 2 daughters, he started the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation, which raises money for schools so they can fund Holocaust education curriculum.
You have to teach. You have to show the people the reasons why those things happen, why some people got to power.
Schoenwetter says it's important for all people, not just Jews, to understand the horror committed during the Holocaust so that history does not repeat itself.
Unfortunately, you have to remember what happened and keep this in mind, not forget.
In Lower Manhattan, Rebecca Greenberg, New York 1.
I don't want women, young girls, people to think that this is not going to happen again. It is, and it will.
Merle Hoffman worries watching states limit access to abortion. Hoffman founded Choices Women's Medical Center in Queens in 1971, providing abortions and reproductive health care. She opened her doors shortly after New York State made abortion legal and 2 years before Roe v. Wade legalized abortion nationwide.
People say to me, well, you're okay, you're in New York. I said, I'm not okay. How can I be okay? As long as one woman has to be either forced to bear a child she does not want, or else cannot access safe, legal abortion. I am not okay.
Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June, Choices says its out-of-state patient count has shot up from 2 or 3 a week from Texas alone to at least 10.
We're seeing now 10, 15 patients a week from Texas. And these patients have to get the funds. And fortunately, there's money for that, but great feminist groups who have done this, but the money runs out.
Abortion is currently banned in 12 states. All have exceptions to save the pregnant person's life, but none have exceptions for rape or incest. An additional 2 states ban abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called the overturning of Roe an historic victory for the Constitution and for the most vulnerable in our society. But abortion providers argue that decision came when more people are vulnerable due to COVID. One doctor who works as a medical consultant for Choices asked that we not use her name or show her face. She fears speaking about her role could put her family's safety at risk.
Before COVID, it was fine, and then COVID struck, and now it's very difficult to get staff.
She says over the last 2 months, Choices has been getting a flood of calls from patients across the country asking if the clinic is still performing abortions.
There are some people that still are doubting whether or not this is legal, even in New York. So we're out there also ensuring that people know that Choices is here for them if they choose to have a termination.
More abortion bans are expected in the coming weeks, and several states have bans temporarily blocked by the courts.
It's going to stress this healthcare system. It's going to stress all of us, but we're going to do the best we can and rise to this challenge.
Hoffman says the clinic is hiring in all areas, including social workers, midwives, and surgical nurses. In Queens, Rebecca Greenberg, New York 1.